he has been able to connect to some of the young black voters, but black voters as a whole, he has been unable to connect to us, and it's because Bernie Sanders hasn't taken the time to talk to us.
Okay, now once again, I gotta pause because I don't have my pencil notepad to kind of take notes, but to talk to us, what does that mean? To talk to us? I mean, I'm not gonna even bring up that he was literally marching with the Million Man March and Martin Luther King and actually protesting on our behalf. I'm not going to even bring that up because that's easy. That's low-hanging fruit there. Like, we already know that. But what does that mean to talk to us? Hey, thank you for clicking this video. Just to let you know, this is a clip from my previous live stream that I did. Just want to let you know I go live every Sunday through Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. And if you don't know what time that is, go ahead and Google that so you can meet me and have a conversation on my next stream. Once again, I appreciate you clicking this video. Now let's enjoy the video. All right, so this next subject is, I don't want to say a sensitive one, but it can be, it can't enter in that area. So I want to make sure I try to explain this in the best way possible. Once again, for Tabitha Speaks Politics, is no disrespect to her in the community and the channel that she built. Once again, I probably, she's someone that I watch on and off, like not like a Sam Cedar where I watch every day, but when her channel, or her videos show up, I watch it. You see what I'm saying? And she makes some pretty decent points. Now, of course, we're not going to agree on everything, on every single idea, which hence now, but she is a progressive, and that I do respect. So once again, she is an ally. Just because we disagree on this one thing doesn't mean I'm saying she's not a progressive. Oh, she's not this, she's not that. No, I don't do that weird stuff around here. We can disagree, hopefully have a conversation and build upon that. I went to the comments of this video that we're going to watch, and I sent a message and say, hey, I disagree with you in regards to Bernie. Let's have a conversation. But, I only got close to 40,000 subscribers. So I'm a little guy. I'm a small fry. So usually big channels don't really care about what I have to say or what we small channels have to say. But that's what happens. But the subject is specifically for my black folks out there. OK, this is something that everyone can partake in this conversation. But this is really talking about black Americans and the black community. And we need to have a conversation. Like, this is something that I've been seeing throughout my life. So this is not something that she started, and something that I'm pretty sure we're not going to solve with this one video, but it's something worth talking about. It reminds me of the saying that people used to say, can't see the forest for the trees, which means focusing so much on small details, which is the trees, that you miss the bigger picture, which is the forest. And we're talking about Bernie Sanders being a progressive, and her position is, which I'm reading the title, Bernie Sanders doesn't connect with the black community. That is what I have the issue with. And I spoke about this last week, so I'm just going to go through my points here and not elaborate too much, because then this would be like a 2-hour video. But there is a distinction between a politician and an activist. Two different roles. This is like a quarterback and a wide receiver, or a quarterback and a defensive end. Like, these are completely two roles, but they work together. But it's a little awkward if you're expecting a politician who's a policymaker to be a community activist. It's a lot of conflicts of interest there. One, a politician is someone elected or appointed to represent the public. Represent the public, make laws, and help run the government. A community activist is someone who works within their local area to address issues affecting their neighbors, organize people around common goals, and push for change that improve the quality of life in their community. That is an activist, like someone like a Martin Luther King. Best example. Someone like him, in my opinion, couldn't be a politician because you probably think of someone like a Huey P. Newton, because unfortunately Martin Luther King was for everybody, but a Huey P. Newton, who was protecting the black community, only wanted black leaders. He couldn't be a politician because he was only focusing on the black community. As a politician, you need to worry about everybody, not just black people. That is the problem. So, and that's called perceived biases. Now, when it comes to a politician, and this is where I'm just to cut through all the BS, just to be as plain and simple as possible, okay? Listen up. I don't want my politicians or someone like a Bernie Sanders to understand the black community. I don't need them to understand the black struggle. I don't need them to understand how it feels to be a black American in a day-to-day life. I don't need that. If you understand and you can kind of figure out some things, cool. That makes you, a little closer. But at the end of the day, your job, Bernie Sanders, is to create progressive policies. If God one day allows a progressive to be president, I want them to do the one job that we voted them for. And that's to create progressive policies. I don't need you to be my friend. Once again, I don't need you to understand my life ins and outs and back and forth and all. No, I don't need that from you. This is a transactional relationship here. This is not, we're buddies. I vote for you. That's transaction number one. Transaction number two is you give me the policies I put you in power for. That's simple. I don't need to drink a beer with you. None of that. And that goes back to the missing the forest for the trees, or can't see the forest for the trees. That's that perfectly right there. Now, once again, you cannot like Bernie. You can, think Bernie is not really a strong progressive or not a progressive at all or too old and this and this. Cool. I'm not saying Bernie needs to be at the top of your list. I'm just saying if you're not going to like someone like a Bernie Sanders, let it be for a substantive reason. Let it be of a really good reason to say someone like a Bernie Sanders isn't worth black people's time. Because looking at the numbers, black folks make up the Democratic Party. 86% of us voted for the Democratic Party. So for you to say black people need to not pay attention to someone like a Bernie Sanders is not doing us a service here. It's actually doing us a disservice. And once again, based off of policies, what is wrong with Bernie Sanders? 1, universal health care. 2, a living wage and labor rights. 3, climate action in the Green New Deal. 4, tuition-free public college and debt relief. 5, criminal justice reform. This is all the things that not all, but just the top 5 of all the policies that he's been championing for decades now. And you can't tell me with a straight face that any of these wouldn't help the black community more than any community. So that's the thing. These policies that he's been championing for, helps the black community. So why are we fighting against that? I don't know. So, okay, enough talking. Let's go ahead and hear what she has to say.
I very rarely come in to talk about this man because, in my opinion, to me, this man is a non-motherfucking factor. But now he's out here lying, so I have to come in to correct his lies.
Now, she's saying correct his lies in the second half. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, the second half is her beef with Bernie due to Kamala Harris, which once again, I could care less about Harris. She lost the 2024 election on her own. Like, that is not even a conversation still worth having. Like, we need to figure out other leaders throughout the Democratic Party. But let's continue.
Reasons, in my view, that Kamala Harris lost this election is she had too many billionaires telling her not to speak up for the working class of this country.
Well, no, I don't think that's, I like Kamala, she's a friend of mine, but her core consultants, were heavily influenced by very wealthy people. How do you run for president and not develop a strong agenda?
I could ask.
So I don't know if you guys could hear Bernie Sanders speak. It was low in my speakers, but he pretty much said Harris is prompted by big donors, big corporations, all the things that progressives don't like. So, like, once again, he ain't lying. And if you're bought by big corporations, if you're prompted up by, the suits and ties, then how can I say for sure that you are going to do what's best for the American people? Progressives don't play that. So once again, I don't know what the problem is with that, but let's continue.
Bernie Sanders, how do you run for president multiple times and you don't connect with one of the largest voting bases in this country? That would be black people. I know that may be shocking to a lot of you white Bernie Sanders supporters out there, but Bernie Sanders has never been able to connect with black voters in this country. Oh, sure, he has huge rallies. He has been able to connect to some of the young black voters, but black voters as a whole, he has been unable to connect to us, and it's because Bernie Sanders hasn't taken the time to talk to us.
Okay, now once again, I got to pause because I don't have my pencil notepad to kind of take notes, but to talk to us, what does that mean? To talk to us? I mean, I'm not going to even bring up that he was literally marching with the Million Man March and Martin Luther King and actually protesting on our behalf. I'm not going to even bring that up because that's easy. That's low hanging fruit there. Like, we already know that. But what does that mean to talk to us? Once again, if your policies are speaking louder than anything you can talk to me about, what do we need to talk about? Universal health care. That's what black people need. A livable wage. That's what black people need. Climate action, because we know these institutions and these corporations, they put in danger our communities for their benefit, for their construction, for their buildings. They denigrate our communities for their profit. So we know that. When it comes to tuition free, when it comes to debt relief, that helps black people. When it comes to criminal justice reform, that helps black people. So once again, what does he need to talk to me about? Did I miss something here? What does he need to talk to us about if this is what he's championing for? I don't know. Hopefully she tells us.
One of the biggest issues to black voters in this country is racism, systemic racism.
Okay.
And what steps are you going to take to tackle said racism.
Okay, systemic racism. That is a system that is built and controlled by white supremacist ideology or idea, but it's baked into these systems. So like, just like redlining, like it's baked into it to always put us at the bottom of the totem pole or always give us the short end of the stick. It's part of the system. Once again, Bernie is not the pinnacle of progressive of a politician, but I mean his policies. It always goes back to the policies. That is what's essential to a politician. A politician has policies. The two words work together. So if you want to beat systemic racism, you need policies that will uplift everybody. Because unfortunately, there's more than just black people being mistreated here in America. But once again, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me focusing on policies that will help all black Americans. But I mean, once again, let's continue and see what she has to say.
Oh, sure. He mentions racism and racists, but he does not make tackling systemic racism or racism a major part of his platform. When he talks about the things that he wants to do for this country, economic justice, equality, minimum wage increase, when he talks about that, he doesn't talk about it from the eyes of black America.
Okay, once again, with all due respect, how is his policies not going to benefit black folks? I don't get it. Like, I'm not the smartest person in the room. I'm not the sharpest knife in the kitchen, but I'm just saying, I've been black all my life. I'm 38 years old. I done been through some life. I know you can't see the gray hairs, but I'm up there. I done seen some things. I done been through some things. Even if half this list was accomplished, that would better my life. Especially a livable wage. Jesus Christ. Come on, man. I don't have to, if I have to explain to you why a livable wage will benefit your life, just get out the room, man. Like, I shouldn't have to explain that. But let me rewind. Let me be sure I'm hearing this right.
He wants to do for this country, economic justice, equality, minimum wage increase. When he talks about that, he doesn't talk about it from the eyes of black America.
He doesn't talk about it through the eyes of black. Bro, Bernie Sanders is white. What? But like, how he can't physically change his perspective the way that black people have theirs. He can't do it. The best he can do, like Ty the Detailer said in the Discord, he said the best he can do is surround himself with black folks who know what the hell they talking about and put in their info and try to steer Bernie Sanders into the right direction. That's the best that can happen. But once again, it feels like she is setting the bar way too high. Impossible for someone like Bernie Sanders to even please black America, according to her. You got to see through black America's eyes. Like, he can't do that. He's 90 some years old and been white his whole life. But I'm just saying, let's continue.
He doesn't talk about how those issues, healthcare for all, how that will benefit black Americans in this country. And because of that, in my opinion, Bernie Sanders has been unable to connect to or with black Americans. And if you aren't able to connect to black Americans in this country, you will never be the primary candidate for the Democratic Party.
All right, so, oh man, if okay, let me say this as nice as possible. If you are of age, okay, like if you're young, you may not understand the gravity of some of these policies. And once again, I just chose 5, okay? Like I didn't go through his whole 40, 50 year of being a lawmaker and listing it. But this right here is like the top 5 that 90% of progressives would agree is needed, desperately needed, like yesterday needed. And if I'm speaking to a black man or woman of age of understanding what these policies are, if I have to explain to you how a livable wage and labor rights benefits you, something's wrong. This conversation is not for you then. If I have to explain to you why universal health care is better than the trash that we got now, something's wrong with you. You haven't lived enough life to understand how healthcare will bankrupt you and won't even look your way. If I have to explain to you how tuition-free public college, how that is needed for young folks, including myself. If they made education free today, trust me, I will be the first one to sign up. That benefits everybody. But if I have to explain that to you, you're already behind. Or you're just too young to understand. So it's like, that is not a reason to not like Bernie Sanders. Trust me, his positioning on the genocide that's happening in Gaza, he's horrible at that. That is something you could be like, hey, Bernie Sanders, he's kind of slipping in that. He's reluctant to call that a genocide, which fits the definition of it. But he's refusing to do it. That's something you could be like, hey, Bernie Sanders, that kind of knocks you down a few pegs. I'm sorry. You can't be the leader of the Progressive Party. Then I could kind of understand that. But if your excuse is he hasn't spoken to black people, no, I'm sorry. That doesn't fly with me. That doesn't work. And then this other half, once again, is talking about Kamala Harris, and once again, she is not worth talking about in August in 2025. She is a establishment Democrat. She is the definition of establishment. Once again, the American people, based off the statistics, do not want more of establishment Democrats. The numbers said it themselves. This is not a hypothetical. This is not me just guessing and hoping and dreaming. The facts, the numbers, the data, the statistics, they speak for themselves. So once again, Harris lost due to a lot of things. But the major one is she refused to be different than Joe Biden. And Joe Biden isn't wanted by nobody. Obviously. So once again, it's not a conversation even worth still having. We have a lot of things we need to be worried about. But once again, is not hating. I'm not saying Tabitha is the worst person and she should be discounted for everything. I'm just saying this one video I just had an issue with because now we are attacking a fellow Democrat, a fellow progressive for no reason, no logical, substantive reason. That's it. That's simple. So, oh man. And yes, you're right. Harris is definitely better than Trump. But unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but fortunately, a lot of progressives want a candidate that is their politically and actually morally. The moral compass is important to some people. And if you are not strong and against the genocide that is happening in Gaza, unfortunately, you're going to turn off a lot of people. Because in the Progressive Party, we're human beings. We care about other people's and not just ourselves. We care about that. And if you can't see that, if you can't read the room, then they're not going to vote for you.
Hey.
That's simple.
Yeah.
That's simple.
See how you do under pressure. Oh. Yeah. I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay. Hey. Yeah. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra, extra. Fuck with me, you know that